a conflict simmering in the Middle East is boiling over, and a lot of us are asking the question on this slide. But, this isn't just about regional power struggles. This is a crisis that's creating chaos on a scale we haven't seen in a long time, and it has the potential to impact every single one of us. So let's dive in and break down what's really happening, and more importantly, what it means for the entire world. Right, this is the central question, isn't it? How can something happening so far away threaten everything from the gas in your car to the food on your table? Well, the answer is a wild mix of geography, decades of history, and a really complex web of alliances that stretches all over the planet. We're going to unpack exactly how one flashpoint can send shockwaves through the systems we all take for granted. And look, don't just take my word for how serious this is. This quote, a grave threat to international peace and security, that's how this military escalation has been officially condemned. That phrase alone tells you just how much this has spiraled beyond a local dispute. We are in very, very serious territory here. Okay, so to really get a handle on the global threat, we first have to zoom in on the heart of the conflict itself, this escalating shadow war between the US, Israel, and Iran. What we're seeing are major combat operations. And these are not just isolated incidents. We're talking about repeated, targeted strikes on critical infrastructure, things like airports and oil installations. What's even more troubling are the reports of civilian areas getting hit, including, unbelievably, a school, which has sparked outrage. Now, to understand Iran's role in this whole thing, you have to appreciate its sheer scale. I mean, this is a country the size of Germany and Spain put together. It's home to 90 million people, and it sits at this critical crossroads between continents. Its location alone makes it an absolute giant in the region. And you really can't understand today's politics without looking back to 1979. The Iranian Revolution didn't just change Iran, it completely redrew the map of alliances for the whole Middle East. This was the moment that set the stage for decades of hostility, with its Gulf neighbors, with the United States, and with Israel. So, facing all these powerful adversaries, how does Iran actually project its own power? Well, that brings us to its really unique military strategy, something analysts call forward defense. First off, let's talk about what Iran can do on its own. It has spent years developing a pretty impressive missile stockpile. We're talking rockets that can travel thousands of kilometers. And as we've all seen recently, their drone technology is incredibly advanced. But their real strategy, well, it goes way beyond their own borders. This is where we get to a really key term you need to know, the axis of resistance. Now, this isn't a formal army. Think of it more as a network, a web of powerful, well-armed militias spread across the Middle East, all supported by Iran to project its influence and its ideology. And here's the really crucial part. The whole point of this network is to act as a forward defense mechanism. The thinking is, if anyone dares to launch a direct attack on Iran, they won't just be fighting Iran. They'll trigger a massive, multi-front war with all of Iran's allies in the region, making a direct strike incredibly, incredibly costly. So, who are the big players in this network? Well, you've got Hezbollah and Lebanon, which is a massive force right on Israel's border. You have the Houthis down in Yemen, who control a vital shipping lane, and then you have various other militias in Iraq and Syria. This network gives Iran strategic depth and reach across a huge area. And it's the location of one of those groups, the Houthis, that brings us right back to the global economic threat. This is all about turning geography into a weapon. While the Houthis are causing chaos in the Red Sea, Iran itself holds the keys to an even more critical waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. This right here is one of the most important shipping lanes on the entire planet. It's what's known as a choke point, a narrow passage that is absolutely vital for global trade. And when I say narrow, I mean it. At its skinniest point, the strait is just 39 kilometers wide. That's it. This incredible vulnerability gives the countries that border it immense, immense power. And here's why that power matters so much. A staggering 20%, 1/5 of the entire world's daily oil and gas supply passes through that tiny channel. That's the fuel for our cars, the energy that heats our homes, even the stuff needed to grow our food. So you can see why the ability to disrupt or even just threaten to disrupt traffic through that strait is, as one source put it, a very important trump card. It's Iran's ultimate leverage to inflict economic pain not just on its rivals, but on the entire global economy. And this isn't some theoretical problem for the future. We are already seeing this trump card being played, and it's creating a massive ripple effect that's being felt thousands of miles away from the actual conflict. So normally, ships take a massive shortcut between Asia and Europe through the Suez Canal. But with the threat of attacks, shipping companies are avoiding the region altogether. And their only other option is to take the incredibly long, incredibly expensive detour all the way around the southern tip of Africa. The consequences of this detour are severe, and they're happening right now. We're seeing huge disruptions that are threatening to cause a global supply chain collapse. And what does that mean? It means rising fears of worldwide inflation and very real threats to food security, because the cost of shipping everything everywhere is suddenly skyrocketing.
And all of this brings us to the final and most critical question. With the world economy already creaking under the strain, where on earth do we go from here?
Well, the hard truth is there's no easy fix. There's no magic button to push. The damage has already been done. Even if all the fighting were to stop tomorrow, the deep-seated tensions, the broken supply chains, the geopolitical mistrust, all of that will remain. There is a long, hard road ahead for everyone.
Which leaves us with this final, massive question to think about. The systems of global trade that we have relied on for decades are being tested in a way they have never been tested before. So the question for all of us now is, will this conflict permanently reshape our economic future? Or is there still a chance to prevent a total international collapse?